Everyone in Briar Hollow knew Madison Rivers, not because she was kind, not because she was wise, but because she was drop-dead gorgeous. Her beauty was like a magnet, drawing stares, gasps, and whispers wherever she went. But no one dared tell her what they really thought, that her pride towered higher than her heels, and her heart? It was as cold as her glassy bedroom mirror, the same mirror she talked to every single morning. But one day, that mirror shattered, not just with cracks, but with a curse. And Madison's world began to unravel, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. What happened next left the entire town speechless. In the charming little town of Briar Hollow, nestled between cotton fields and winding roads, lived 21-year-old Madison Rivers. Her parents, Tom and Renee, were kind-hearted folks who ran a small produce farm just outside town. They were humble, hardworking, and deeply loved their only daughter. But Madison? She lived in a world far removed from soil and sweat. Every morning, Madison would skip breakfast, ignore her chores, and sit in front of her antique vanity mirror, gifted to her by her grandmother, who swore it had a truthful soul. Madison didn't care about any of that. She just cared about her reflection. She'd oil her skin with lavender cream, puff her lips like she was always ready for a selfie, bat her long lashes and smirk. There's no one in this town, or this world, prettier than me. Not a single soul. Her mom would peek through the door with a sigh. Sweetie, we could use your help peeling carrots. The farmer's market opens in an hour. Madison would scoff. These fingers weren't made for peeling carrots. Ask Nate or Ellie to do it. I'm practically art. And with that, she'd turn back to her mirror, humming to herself. While girls her age volunteered at shelters or helped their moms at church, Madison was busy posting Instagram reels with lip syncs and mirror twirls. The town watched her grow from a sweet little girl to a young woman obsessed with attention. When her classmates started getting married, to teachers, carpenters, small-town chefs, Madison would wrinkle her nose in disgust. Emma married a guy with a truck that leaks oil. Lauren's husband still lives with his mom. EW. The other girls were happy, though. They had laughter, dinners together, and babies on the way. Madison had likes, filters, and a growing list of blocked people who dared say she was full of herself. One Saturday, the town square buzzed with life. Bluegrass music played, kettle corn filled the air with sweetness, and kids darted around food stands. Madison strutted through the market like a runway model. Her dress shimmered gold in the sunlight. She had on red lipstick so bold it could stop traffic. She knew every head was turning. But fate wasn't smiling. As she turned a corner near the honey stand, she slammed into someone hard. Her purse fell. So did a basket of wooden figurines. The crowd gasped. Madison looked up, and there stood old Miss Marjorie, the town's oldest woman. Frail, bent-backed, almost blind, but deeply respected. Her gray hair was tied in a bun, and she reached down to pick up her things with shaking hands. Madison didn't offer help. Instead, she stepped back with disgust. Ugh, watch where you're going, Grandma. You ruined my look, she snapped. The crowd went silent. Marjorie looked up calmly, smiled with no offense, and said, Child, the mirror you worship may not show you everything. Sometimes it lies. Then she did something strange. She raised her trembling hand, pointed to the sky, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, May your beauty become your burden. May your pride become your prison. You won't see your true self until you look into the eyes of the ugliest man alive. Thunder rolled overhead. People muttered. Kids stopped laughing. Madison? She scoffed. Crazy old bat, she whispered and walked off. That night, Madison couldn't sleep. Her skin felt warm, too warm. When she looked into the mirror, her reflection shimmered. Then crack. The glass split down the middle. She gasped. The next morning, Madison screamed loud enough to wake the whole block. Her flawless skin was rough and flaky. Her eyes sunken. Her lips pale and dry. Her hair came out in clumps when she touched it. Even her voice cracked like she hadn't drunk water in days. Her mirror was covered with a cloth within an hour, and her bedroom lights stayed off for weeks. One day, a stranger came knocking. He wore ripped jeans, a stained t-shirt, and smelled like sour milk. He was missing several teeth, had a beard like wild moss, and dragged one foot when he walked. "I'm Judd," he said with a crooked smile. "I heard you need a husband." Madison almost fainted, but she remembered the curse. The ugliest man alive. Look into his eyes. So she said yes. The wedding was silent. No flowers, no guests, just whispered disbelief. Madison wore a second-hand dress and didn't meet anyone's gaze. Judd didn't even say thank you. He just burped after the ceremony. Life with Judd was worse than a horror movie. He ordered her around like a maid. "Rub my feet. This soup's too bland. You breathe too loud." He was rude, selfish, dirty, and yet Madison served him without complaint. She washed his clothes, fetched water, helped neighbors, greeted old women with kindness, and even played with children. The town began to notice. "She's changed," someone whispered. "She's not the same Madison anymore." And it was true. Her pride had melted. Her heart softened. And that night, as she helped an injured stray puppy and sat by its side under the stars, the old woman Marjorie returned, this time in a dream. "Madison," she whispered, glowing, "your beauty is no longer skin deep. Tomorrow, your heart and your face shall match once again." At sunrise, Madison raced to the well. She leaned over and gasped. Her skin was clear, her hair thick and shiny, her lips soft. Her eyes sparkled with life. But this time she smiled differently, not in vanity, but in gratitude. Judd came out of the hut, squinting. "Whoa. You're not my wife. My wife's ugly." Madison handed him a warm breakfast in a paper bag. "Thank you, Judd. You helped me more than you'll ever know. I hope you find someone who sees your heart." And she walked away. A few months later, a young businessman named Carter Benson moved into town. He'd heard of Madison's transformation, not just of her looks, but of her spirit. When they met, he saw more than a pretty face. He saw grace, humility, strength. Their love story blossomed, not like fireworks, but like wildflowers, quietly, steadily, deeply. They married under the open sky. And this time, there were drums, dancing, flowers, and joy. But Madison never forgot. She visited Miss Marjorie every Sunday, donated to shelters, helped the sick and elderly. And every mirror in her house, she used it only to check for spinach in her teeth. True beauty fades unless it grows from within. A proud heart may win the world, but only a humble soul can keep it.